You ass-bag, monkey-brained, piece of shit, libtard, millennial, fucking communistic asshole douchebags. You're welcome for that. You little pieces of shit need to be locked in an asylum somewhere. Alright? You have destroyed the face of liberalism. You are psychotic in nature. And you have the inability to see your own reflection.
And now, Womansplaining with Tabatha. Hello, folks. If you watched our last video, then you saw this right here.
Oh, hold on. Stop the presses. You gotta get a load of this.
Recently caught up with Connor and Beth, two members of Redneck Revolt. Hey y'all, how the fuck are you?
Really just about as good as we were last week.
As good as it can be in the end times, right?
Excuse me, the fuck did you just say?
Oh, wow. Okay, this just kicked it all into a much higher gear of insanity. You know what, Tabatha? I think we're gonna have to hold off from this for another video.
Oh, yeah?
We'll make it Womansplaining with Tabatha, Womansplaining apocalyptic left-wing communist gun nuts, or something like that. So folks, make sure you catch that video. We're just gonna have to skip over that and pretend we didn't just hear that.
That's a little difficult.
Yeah, I know, but we're gonna have to move on.
What's wrong with you people?
I guess that's how you was raised.
Fuck!
And although we didn't point it out very clearly, you saw this assault happen right here.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. It's a public sidewalk. You know that, don't you? Oh! You know that, don't you? Oh! Oh, that's interesting. I like to see the left wing get feisty. You assault reporters a lot? You're a big badass because you got a gun. You want to shoot me? No. You want to shoot me, buddy? Yeah, go ahead. Please do. Why don't you point your gun at me? Such a badass. Right? So what do you say about that? You think your people are better than the right wing? Looks like you got one asshole right there. Just as bad as anyone I deal with on the right wing.
With that in mind, let's continue with this episode of Womansplaining with Tabatha. So, you know, Tabatha, I try my best to admit when I'm wrong. I think that's very important to do. And I think even though I try, I probably don't always admit when I'm wrong. That being said, you know, folks, we promised to get you this video out, this Womansplaining episode about the Redneck Revolt gun nut people. And as promised, we're delivering. I have to admit that I was wrong about them believing that we live in the end times. I've been trying to contact these people for a while now, asking them for clarification on this, because everywhere I look online, I can't see any reference to end times or even their religious beliefs or lack thereof. Although I do have a lot of trouble believing that all these Redneck Revolt people aren't just Christians. Some of them may be atheists, I don't know. They responded to my queries and telling me that no, that was just a joke. The whole end times thing, that was just them kidding. That being said, Tabatha has a lot of valid criticisms and some funny things to say about these people. We made a mistake of thinking that they were serious about the whole end times thing, right? And I think the reason why we thought that is because they're just so irrational and inconsistent in every other area. Why wouldn't they be that crazy too?
I still don't believe that they're not fucking that crazy. Who's to say they're telling the truth? They just don't want to look like they're crazy.
Could be. I mean, they are obviously irrational in other areas. Do you think so?
I mean, if they can show me proof that that was in fact meant to be a joke, you know, find the remainder of the video.
No, apparently it doesn't exist. Apparently that's all there is.
Oh, well, then I'm just going with my first instinct. I don't trust them at all. I don't. They're crazy, number one.
Well,
They walk around the streets with guns, pretending like they're some sort of, you know, little universal soldier and shit. No, these people are nuts. It is not too far of a stretch to believe that they actually honestly believe that the end times are here. And yes, I damn well do believe that they are fucking Christian.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, it's likely.
Just because they're left-wing, gun-toting fucking wannabe liberators of the fucking USA does not mean they're not fucking Christian. They're not all atheists.
Yeah, I doubt that they are.
Atheism takes intelligence. These people are not smart enough to be an atheist.
Good point.
They're fucking Christian. And that bitch probably does believe it is the end times, but just knows how insane that makes you look. Not to mention, wasn't that an old interview?
It was from last year.
Yeah, so she probably thought the end was nigh, and now it's not, so okay.
As good as it can be in the end times, right?
Okay,
you know,
well,
they
I
always
mean,
do that. You got that person walking around New York City. There's at least one new one each year walking around with a paper sign going, "The end is nigh."
Yeah.
But then they change their sign, or there's a new person the next year because, well, you look like a fucking dumb fuck, don't ya? So she probably said that thinking it was honestly gonna end. That the Antichrist is born.
Excuse me. The fuck did you just say?
As good as it can be in the end times, right?
And it didn't happen. So, oh no, that was a joke. Yeah, sure it was, sweetheart. It was a fucking joke. Uh-huh.
Alright,
Yeah,
so
I'll
folks, it goes to show you that we don't live in echo chambers. You know, Tabatha and I, we do disagree on things. And, you know, it's possible to disagree with somebody and not, you know, hate them or think they're Nazis or whatever the fuck. Like, hey, you don't like pineapple on your pizza? Oh, you evil Nazi! You know,
Pineapple on pizza is fucking awesome.
you are an evil Nazi. That's it. This episode's over. This has been Womansplaining with Tabatha. Okay, no, just kidding, folks. But anyway, my point is that I'm trying to admit that I'm wrong here, but now Tabatha's putting forth an argument that maybe they were serious. So I don't know.
Well, think about
Let's
it.
just say, okay, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry for being wrong. If I'm not wrong, well, I'm sorry for being sorry that I'm wrong.
Well, see, the thing is, if I'm wrong, yeah, I'm sorry. I still think it's fucking funny to make fun of your ass, but yeah, so I got it wrong.
Right.
But I don't believe that I'm wrong. How many preachers have said, this year will be the end?
Right.
And then when the New Year's rolls around and there's a new day and the year continues on as if nothing fucking happened, how many of them go, no, see, we just translated it wrong, I wasn't serious.
Right. Well,
They take it back immediately because
Yeah.
they don't want to look like the con artists and liars and fucking crazy people that they are.
Yeah.
Who's to say she's not doing the same thing? Oh no, that was just a joke. Really? Okay. Alright, yeah, it's just a joke, sweetie. I don't believe you.
I did inquire as to what their beliefs may or may religious beliefs may or may not be. They haven't returned my email on that yet, so I don't know. However, if they generally do believe in Christianity, well, technically you do believe in the end times, and you do believe they're nigh, because for 2,000 years, supposedly, the end times have been nigh.
No, I don't believe that bitch for a second. Nope. I think she honestly thought it was the end times. I do. I honestly think that. Because it's not a far stretch. In fact, it fits right in their goddamn bullshittyism that is in their brain all the time. And these people obviously are completely nuts because they believe that by walking down the street and showing force that they'll somehow have control over the rest of us. Bitch, you all are dropping the bucket of how many people live in the U.S. And guess what? The majority of us think you're stupid.
Right. And here's
the
the
majority
thing.
of us have more guns than God. So yeah, you want to turn this into a fight? A firefight? You will fucking lose.
And here's the thing. These people, they want to overthrow the system. They want to get rid of cops, and they want to get rid of the government, and want to get rid of armies, right? As if we're all going to live in some sort of peaceful communist utopia. But these people are showing, well, by their show of force, they're showing us, well, if you remove police, you're going to be replacing them with these goons.
Excuse me. It's a public sidewalk. You know that, don't you? Oh!
Okay, if you get rid of police, what's going to take their place? Because people are not going to just behave. Most people are fucking going to act like the Purge. as soon as they remove police. So what's going to take its place?
That the woman in the vehicle was trying to get by for an emergency. She tried to drive. A protester came in, slammed her windshield that's now broken. She's visibly upset in the front seat. Someone has a bat. Someone has a bat.
So what's going to take its place? These armed goons? These Gomer piles? These fucking idiotic, wanting so bad to shoot people rednecks? You want them to replace the police? You know, they're essentially lynch mobs with semi-automatic weapons.
Yeah, that's why we have
okay,
to
they're
keep
one
lynch mobs from forming.
These people, a lot of these people are just a hair away from being gun-toting KKK members. Hell,
yeah.
If you go to the Redneck Revolt website, you can see the video that I showed you part of in the last video of the fact that some of these people have just defected from far-right racist militant groups.
Be long before they flip back around.
Right, they're just gonna flip around. I mean,
They're
one guy
just...
changed because of one encounter with one Muslim. He went from believing all Muslims are bad, which shows you how fucking bigoted these people are in the first place, to believing they're all good because of one incident with one Muslim. So, okay, does that mean the next time, like, if he gets mobbed or if he gets robbed by a black person, is he now all of a sudden gonna blame all black people? I wouldn't be surprised.
Probably. These people
so these people are irrational. They're not balanced people.
No, they're no different than fucking teenagers with style. They act like a bunch of teenage girls changing their hairstyle weekly because of the new fad. That's all these idiots are. They're just, you know, that version of it in adulthood where you're like, well, my politics today are because such and such happened. Like, no, you're a fucktard, you don't need to own a weapon, and Mr. Opie Dopey fucking douchebag brain there, you know, these people are always crying, it's a police state out there, oh my god, that's unconstitutional. That's their main holler. Every time you see these groups of people, they're like, it's unconstitutional to have a police state. This is against our rights as a U.S. citizen. And then in the very next breath, they go, fuck the USA, fuck the Constitution, and, oh, show me your papers.
I do. Who am I giving it to?
Can I see your business card?
No.
Why not?
I don't feel like you tell me who you are, I'll give it to you.
No, why don't you?
Well, then I'm not going to give it. I'm with the New Times.
Can I see?
Can you see your papers?
I don't have to show you anything.
Right.
This is not a show me your paper state.
Yeah, show me your papers.
So exactly who's trying to make what a police state? Because last time I checked, I loved the ability to call 911 and have an officer show up on my fucking doorstep and try to help me figure out a problem. I enjoy that luxury. So if that's a police state, well, sign me the fuck up. But if you want to take over and make it so that I can't walk down the street without having all of my identification present at all fucking times because some lunatic that looks like fucking Opie and Andy come walking around with their guns going, oh, show us your papers, woman. You know, yeah, I would rather...
You look mighty fine. I think nobody's watching. Why don't you come... No, come on now. Come around back with me now. Come on, you wouldn't want me to shoot you now.
I'll take a bullet before I take that sausage. Actually, I'll snap that bitch off. But anyways... No, that's the thing, though, is that they act like, oh, well, no, we live in a current police state, and it's horrible, and you all should be against this, and fuck the USA! And then in the next breath, they act like a police state.
Right.
They use all the language that transfers to, we will create a police state. I mean, who the fuck do you think you are, Opie, going, oh, show me your fucking ID? You're not a cop, number one. Number two, fuck you. And number three, fuck you more. You know?
And
Who the hell do you think you are marching up there like, I'm gonna get some business done?
Yeah.
He's lucky it wasn't me.
Uh-huh.
I'd have ground my heel into his fucking kneecap and been like, I'm gonna take that gun and shove it up your ass, Daisy. What the fuck? So who the hell do you think you are? And then, okay, here's a little rule of thumb. When coming in contact with a group of gun-toting idiots like that, the only reason they have the right to assemble like that on the public street is because no one is complaining.
Right.
Right? They haven't caused trouble. But, and this is where that guy, the reporter goes in the video, do you want me to, should we call the police? And the guy's like, no, we don't have to do that, because if one civilian calls the police and has the police show up to these gun-toting fuckfaces, it is their duty under the law to disperse the crowd. So they will make each and every one of those gun-toting hillbilly wannabe fucktards leave. And anyone that opens their mouth and talks shit runs the risk of getting arrested and or shot. And they know this. This is why as soon as he fucking says that, the guy goes, no, we don't have to do that.
Maybe we should call the police right now. You want to do that?
I don't think we need to do that.
Do you want to do that? I'm fine with that. You want to do that?
Of course not, Opie. You know better than to do this. You idiots, just by stopping and acting aggressive in the manner that you are acting, social aggression while holding a gun translates to a massive charge of brandishing for each and every fucking one of you. So Mr. I'm in the yellow scarf pushing the reporter, which is on camera, is enacted aggression while holding a weapon.
Excuse me, sir.
Excuse me. It's a public sidewalk. You know that, don't you? Oh!
Technically, he committed the crime of brandishing. Opie charging up like he's gonna fucking be the wonder cunt of the group.
You notice that when he's walking towards the camera like a big man, he bumps into one of his own people who are like, what the fuck? And then he walks into a bush a little bit. And then he's like, "Val, are your paper?" Or no, I'm saying, "Where's your damn papers?"
And he's like, oh, I'm just gonna be friendly and I might ask you for something friendly. It's like, no, fuck you, dude. You've just acted in an aggressive and threatening manner while holding a gun. The fact that half those idiots were walking with their trigger finger an inch away from the fucking trigger on a public street qualifies as brandishing. If you want to get technical, the only one in that video not brandishing their weapon is the stupid little fucking Latina chewing her bubble gum like her jaw's gonna pop off.
Yeah.
That one had hers strapped to her back.
Right.
She's the only one not brandishing her weapon.
Yeah,
so if the cops if the cops get called, all of you idiots proudly displaying your fucking weapons on the front of your crotch with your finger inches from the trigger, all of you get a brandishing charge, if not arrested. Know the law, idiots, before you fucking think that you are the law.
Yeah.
And the next time anybody sees these idiots out on the street acting that way, call the cops.
Oh, yeah.
Start reporting them. Complain repeatedly. Be like, I don't feel safe. I just saw them act aggressively.
Yeah. Saw it on video. We all know what happened. We all saw it happen.
Exactly. Make it so that they can't stand there because they're relying on your ignorance to allow their ignorance to be in the public.
Yeah.
And all it takes is one of these idiots tripping and hitting their fucking trigger. Or tripping and just having a sensitive gun. So I am appalled at how many people just think a gun only goes off because you touched the trigger.
Yeah.
It's like, no, there are a lot of very sensitive weapons out there, and all you have to do is hit that fucker wrong, and it goes off. Those idiots are walking around with auto-fire guns. You know, guns that shoot more than one round at a time. If one of those has a sensitive trigger, or a busted trigger, you can take out a kindergartner walking across the park.
Yeah.
That's how dangerous it is. These people do not understand the law, number one. They don't understand your rights. They don't even understand their own rights. All they know is, I have the right to walk around in public with my gun.
Yep.
But that's what they fucking understand. They don't understand the small, negating rules to that. So call them on it. Call the police, report them immediately, and keep doing it until the cops come out and make them fucking disperse. Because if they become a public nuisance, it qualifies as a brandishing charge.
Mm-hmm.
Get them off the streets. They're gonna kill somebody, and it might be you. It might be you. It might be your kids, or it might be your fucking, parents.
Now notice, well, okay, let me explain that. I know from talking to some of these people online, under a different alias, that they are pro-Antifa.
Yeah, that shows how stupid they are. You're pro-Antifa?
Right, so I'm going to speak now kind of lumping both the Redneck Revolt, the John Brown Gun Club, and Antifa, all those people together when I say the following. Notice a certain pattern that goes on here. They say they don't want police state. They say that they want to live without police, without the army, without the government. But if you pay attention, it's pretty darn obvious. They don't want to get rid of those things. They just want to be those things. They want to be the people with guns that tell you what you can or cannot do, without actually having democracy decide those things. They want to decide themselves. Along with the same pattern, notice that they say they're anti-fascist, but they are fascists without state power yet. But they want to be fascists. I mean, some of these people say, oh no, by definition, fascism is right-wing. What fucking ever. Totalitarianism, dictatorship, whatever the fuck you want to call it, okay? Yeah, fascism doesn't exist because technically fascism is an Italian movement from the 1920s and 30s. Durr, okay, but we know what you mean when you say fascism, and by what we normally mean by the word fascism, totalitarianism, okay, dictatorships, they want to replace that. They want to be that. They are authoritarians, they are collectivists and authoritarians, they're against individual rights, they are not anarchists in the sense that they don't want governments telling people what to do. No, they want to be the government telling you what you can or cannot do. Okay?
There's a big difference between wanting, oh, we should all be able to live in a trade system and speak and sing Kumbaya and everybody just get along, and it should be like Star Trek The Next Generation where we're supposed to all just work for the benefit of each other. Yeah, that's a pipe dream. Never gonna fucking happen. Star Trek is a TV show, you douchebags. That's where it will stay. Alright? There's no such thing as this communistic utopia that you all are fucking fapping to. Doesn't exist, will never fucking exist.
Because it's based on a 5-year plan, which is a faith-based belief that somehow you could squeeze 5 years of crops out of just a few years of work.
Despite a demanding workload, the men managed at first to fill their daily work quotas. But when camp officials saw that they were being filled, they increased them. And as the daylight dwindled with the coming fall, so did the daily food rations, followed quickly by production. The paradox, common to most Soviet camps, created endemic malnourishment and caused Edward and the others to scrounge for food wherever they could find it. On one such occasion, despite threats of harsh punishment, Edward's hunger became so great that he secretly left the camp to a neighboring collective farm in search of any food that he could find.
Well, that's just a pie-in-the-sky belief. It's like the belief in any other religious belief. It's bullshit.
I, personally, because these people are standing in Phoenix, Arizona in that video with the reporter.
Yeah.
I lived in Phoenix, Arizona for 4 years as a child. Thank God, thank this imaginary made-up fucking God that there are police in Phoenix, Arizona. It is a hellhole and a hotbed of fucking crime most of the time.
Yeah.
Every night, past my window, you will hear sirens repeatedly. Cops everywhere. There are hit and runs near schools. It is just appalling the amount of people that break the law right there. And they don't give a fuck. And on New Year's Eve, don't leave your house. You know why? Because when I was a kid, and I was thinking about maybe 14 at the time, I'd made the mistake of going out to my friend's house on New Year's Eve. As soon as that stroke of 12 hit, there were guns up and down the street firing directly into the air.
Fun.
I could have been killed. Half the neighborhood could have been killed. Unfortunately for the other half of the neighborhood, that was getting shot at unintentionally.
Right.
The other half there was having a good old fucking time shooting hundreds of rounds into the sky. That's how stupid the people of Phoenix, Arizona can be. So that's why I'm so appalled at these idiots walking around with these heavy-duty guns. These are the fucking idiots that you hear on New Year's going and spraying it into the air like, yeah! And then the next day they fucking totally disacknowledge any fucking news source telling them about the fucking 20 people that took a bullet in the back that night. Because they have to come down. Do you all forget gravity exists? What goes up must come down. Those bullets count. And when they come down, they pick up speed.
No, angels scoop them up and they don't let them fall on nobody but them sinners.
That's how disgusting Phoenix, Arizona is when it comes to crime. So thank your lucky stars, you half-wits that live in Phoenix, that there are cops that are smarter than you. Alright? So yeah, thank your lucky stars that there are fucking cops willing to wade through the dipshits that live there. And a prominent display of dipshits were on the screen for you all.
Right.
Memorize their faces. These are the people that cause most of the trouble in your area.
Yep.
So
thanks.
Be nice. Pat your cop on the back today, because, you know, they're keeping you away from stupid.
Yeah, they're protecting you from these violent idiots.
Yeah, and FYI, we do not live in a police state. Alright? Actually, if you want to get technical, we are nowhere near a police state. There are some places in this country that the crime rate is so fucking high that township is a hop, skip, and a jump away from being an actual police state out of necessity.
Yeah, I mean, there have
Alright,
martial law has been enacted in certain times and places, so don't bring that about, you idiots.
Yeah, and the thing is like, but the majority of this country is not a police state.
Right.
Not even fucking close, will never be close, but idiots like that running around, it's just a blink away.
Right.
You know? You don't want that way because you will lose. You're not going to beat the police with your bullshit little gun.
But I'm G.I. Joe.
Yeah, no you're not. You're Barbie to G.I. Joe.
Yeehaw! But anyway, so there you go, folks. I was gonna apologize for being wrong, and now I don't know what to think. But anyway, on with the rest of Tabby's rant.
She's a pinup model feminist. We'll go there. Okay, pinup model meaning she wants to be one of the girls in the calendars from the 50s.
Right.
Right? And a feminist.
Excuse me, the fuck did you just say?
So that's the first makes no goddamn sense.
Right.
Then she's a communist and a Christian.
Apparently, or a Jew, or something.
Again, makes no fucking sense. Then she's a liberal, but a gun owner.
Yeah, but they're also anti-liberal, because if you start espousing liberal views, they'll say, fuck liberalism, liberals get the bullet too.
Yeah, I think she woke up today, and she's one of the unfortunate people that the back of her skull isn't actually attached, and her fucking brain is on the bed, then rolled off, hit a dust pile, and is somewhere underneath her fucking bed with the dust bunnies. The only actual difference between these jackasses owning guns and a, right-wing conservative owning guns, the conservative is less likely to fucking shoot you by accident. Usually when a conservative points a gun in public, they mean to kill you.
Right.
These assholes will probably be playing cops and robbers in the streets.
Yeah.
Because they have a child mentality.
Well, they are live-action role players.
Yeah, exactly. When you watched it, the few assholes that did have actual will-kill-you fucking guns had their finger poised half an inch above the trigger at all times. Okay, any responsible gun owner would tell you, one, your hand should be nowhere near that trigger unless you are expecting to shoot something.
Yeah, if you're under fire...
Exactly, you're not in a battle scenario. These are civilians around you. You are in public. How dare you walk around as if you are armed and ready to start shooting people? That in itself is an act of hostility. Now, I don't care. Walk around with your fucking guns strapped over your back or put in a fucking gun harness on your side. Do not walk around poised and ready. I think it should be a law that if you are seen marching down the street like that, with your finger that close to the goddamn trigger, and your hands positioned at, you know, barrel and trigger, you have broken the law at that point. You should be able to be seen as breaking the law at that point, because
I don't know.
it would take you the snap of a finger to raise and start firing.
Right.
And that is hostile, scaring the public. Don't you think there are migrants possibly from other countries that lived in that area that you were marching on that had seen that particular kind of hostile body gesture before with a gun and may have been somewhat traumatized by seeing your fucking redneck wannabe liberal asses standing there on the street corner marching down the fucking sidewalk armed and ready to kill?
And what about, say, a 90-year-old Jewish person who may have seen the brown shirts marching down the streets in Germany right before the Nazis came to power? I mean, that's how it started. There's shows of walking around with guns and actually, you know, say the whole Kristallnacht thing, you know. Quick little history lesson, folks. Kristallnacht took place on the night of November 9th through the 10th in 1938 in Nazi Germany. It was a pogrom against the Jews carried out by German civilians and paramilitary forces, with the proper authorities looking on without intervening. Sound familiar? If you're familiar with my videos, you see that in certain cities in the United States of America, authorities watch civilians attack people, threaten people, destroy things, and, well, break a lot of windows, just like the Night of the Broken Glass. Kristallnacht. Kinda like the cops who watch people riot and beat people up in Sacramento of the summer of 2016, in Portland in late 2016, in Berkeley on February 1st, and then again on March 4th? Superficially speaking, in both cases we have a lot of broken windows, but more importantly, a lot of innocent people attacked, while the authorities watched and did nothing.
Could have incited a more violent reaction from this small group of people. We've seen that happen in other communities where they respond with violence, not only to the police, but to nonviolent protesters at the crowd. Unfortunately, I think this incident has given the conservative right the image they wanted.
No, you think so? He almost gets it, but he doesn't actually get it. Now, I don't mean to go into Godwin's Law territory here, folks, you know, comparing these people to Nazis. But you know, when you're dealing with a group of people who have shown that they'll just point the finger at somebody and say, there's a Nazi, let's get him, as an excuse to attack people, I think it's quite fair to turn this around and make it a joke at their expense. Having a laugh at their expense is perfectly fine.
They're supposed to be fucking liberating angels because they've scared the public and they walk around with guns. Oh, and the right is so horrible because, well, they don't march around with their guns. Their guns are in their gun safes at home with the bullets not in them.
Right.
You know? You all liberal pieces of shit, and I'm not talking to the real liberals out there, the ones like you know, Justin Anti-Theist here, who actually understands what civil rights are and, you know, freedoms for all and things like that. That's a real liberal. Alright? You ass-bag, monkey-brained, piece of shit, libtard, millennial, fucking communistic asshole douchebags. You are the ones I'm referring to when I say liberals. Alright? You're welcome for that. You little pieces of shit need to be locked in an asylum somewhere. Alright? You have destroyed the face of liberalism. You are psychotic in nature. And you have the inability to see your own reflection. Do you like owning a gun? Because democracy, our Constitution, the things that America stands for, allow you to have your guns. Not only that, it allows you to stand on the fucking street corner like the goddamn brainless monkeys that you are and hold your guns in public. You want to enact communism? Okay, no more guns for you. That's what communism, that's the first fucking thing a communist party will do. It will remove all of your guns. And you will willingly give them up, or they will come take it by force. Because guess what? Communist parties have armies. and they will come get your fucking guns. And probably kill part of your family doing it. Alright? That is what you want, okay? Then there is your right to stand on the street corner and holler. That'll be the next fucking thing communism takes from you.
Scattered protests continue to sputter, and there are new reports of skirmishes and violence in the wake of this weekend's massive military assault aimed at smashing China's pro-democracy demonstrations.
They yelled and shouted, and then as troop lorries were seen moving down the road, there was gunfire from those lorries.
Troops have been firing indiscriminately, but still, there are thousands of people on the streets who will not move back.
The bicycle rickshaws scooped up the injured, others were shunted onto bikes and pedaled to hospital. Many were carried away by frantic local residents. There was confusion and despair among those who could hardly credit that their own army was firing wildly at them. Many were bystanders, perhaps naive about the savagery of the situation. Indeed, it was hard at times to grasp that this army was launching into an unarmed civilian population as if charging into battle. From Tiananmen Square, the sound of gunfire sounded like a battle, but it was one-sided. A line of soldiers was strung out, facing a huge crowd. The air was filled with shouts of "Fascists! Stop killing!" We were in the line facing the troops. They were about 250 yards away. Young people were singing the Internationale to a background of gunfire.
After hours of shooting and facing a line of troops, the crowd is still here. They're shouting, "Stop the killing and down with the government."
A huge volley of shots just as I left the front line caused panic. The young man in front of me fell dead. I fell over him. 2 others were killed yards away. 2 more people lay wounded on the ground near me. Ambulances screamed up to the troop line and were turned away. They couldn't get to the square. 2 ambulance drivers were shot and injured. Earlier, we'd been driving at the back of the Forbidden City, the old part of Peking, near the square. We picked up a woman with a bullet in the head and took her to the nearby children's hospital, into a scene of near mayhem. Casualties were arriving every few seconds, on bikes, rickshaws, park benches, carried in, all with gunshot wounds. Housewives, elderly residents, people shot while sitting in their homes. The operating theatre was overflowing, many of the staff in tears. In 20 minutes, 40 seriously injured were brought for emergency surgery. 2 were already dead. In the streets, many came up to us, shaking with anger and disbelief and fear. Many were terrified, saying there would be retribution. There was not one voice on the streets which did not express despair and rage. Tell the world, they said to us.
Beijing's Bloody Sunday is history now, but there are visible reminders everywhere of the shocking massacre that occurred here. Burned-out buses and other vehicles are scattered in many sections of the Chinese capital, and the curious are now venturing out of their homes to look at the smoldering aftermath of the violent attack that dealt a staggering blow to the pro-democracy movement in this country. The brutal assault by an estimated 30,000 Chinese troops ended at Tiananmen Square in the heart of Beijing, where thousands of students had been staging a sit-in for democracy for the past 3 weeks. In a last-ditch effort to stop the army, demonstrators tossed firebombs on armored personnel carriers and tanks as they rumbled into the square early Sunday morning. But it was impossible to stop the advance, and eventually the students were forced to evacuate. Soldiers fired automatic weapons into crowds of civilians, and the casualties were staggering. The Chinese Red Cross says at least 2,600 people were killed. The students claim thousands of others were wounded. There has been no official casualty announcement from the Chinese government. Defiant demonstrators have been continuing to skirmish with the army despite its overwhelming presence in and around Tiananmen Square. At one point, they set an ambulance on fire and aimed it at the troops. but the vehicle smashed into a traffic island, and that prompted the soldiers to open fire once more on the students. This morning, troops were seen severely beating demonstrators in the Forbidden City district near the square, and at least 3 of them were arrested. The Goddess of Democracy statue has been toppled by Chinese troops.
Student leaders have gone into hiding, and there are now fears the army may move against student sanctuaries on university campuses.
Lenin believed in what he called the war of classes, which meant that the ultimate harmony can only be reached after certain groups of people are killed.
Initially, when communists come to power, and that doesn't matter where, let it be in Russia, in Poland, in Cuba, in Nicaragua, it doesn't matter, in China, initially they destroy about 10% of the population, and that's very specific. This is used not just to kill enemies, they're not enemies, it's to restructure the fabric of society. It's a social engineering. Top intellectuals, best workers, best engineers, they would kill them all. And then they will try to restructure the new society.
Hang at least 100 kulaks, execute the hostages, do it in such a way that people for hundreds of miles around will see and tremble. Lenin. In 1917, the communists seized power. Lenin now had a chance to apply Marxism to real life.
Those who resisted were shot. There were terrible massacres against resisting peasants, and again, nobody knows exactly how many people died, but we're talking about 10 million or more. 10 million or more.
And then the hunger began. Ukrainians were dying torturously slowly. Children cried agonizingly for bread. Many lost their sense of fear. They went to the NKVD-guarded fields to collect single ears of grain. They were shot on the spot. But most of the victims died slowly, at home. Special NKVD units raided people's homes to collect the dead bodies. They received 200 grams of bread for every dead body they delivered.
Скинули з вода. Як стануть землею закопувати, то я мала не ходила на кладбище, а люди такі вже дорослі ходили. Казали, земля ворушилася, як закриють цю землю.
Many were buried alive. 10 years later, the Nazis will exterminate millions of Jews. They will take away their gold, melt it down, and deposit the bars in Swiss banks. We don't know what communists did with the gold confiscated from these people. And was there any gold? What we do know is what communists did with the grain taken from them. It was exported to the West. Millions upon millions of tons. Despite the famine, the export of Ukrainian grain was increased to the maximum level. The Western media reported both on the scale and character of the famine genocide. Ukrainians were being exterminated in front of the whole world. But the world did nothing to help them. 7 million people were starved to death in the space of 1 year. Mankind has never seen a more efficient extermination program than the one in Ukraine during the winter of 1932 and 1933. The birth of the new man was the ultimate aim of Marxism, breeding a new evolutionary form of human being who will think, look, and act differently. But communists were not alone in this endeavor.
Wir müssen einen neuen Menschen erziehen und zu einer neuen Lebensform zu führen.
I think any of these people, I think there's a snowball chance in hell for some sort of communist revolution to happen in the USA, but let's just pretend it happened. I think all of these people have a very slim chance of being in the particular faction that actually wins, because, you know, in any sort of communist revolt, you get multiple factions, everybody's vying for power. You get Yvette Filarica, head of her faction, you get the Redneck Revolt, the head of their faction.
Which one of you goddamn communist heads are gonna actually rule? Don't you understand?
Because on their way to the top, they will try to eliminate all others. They won't join together. I mean, look what happens in any communist revolution. Different factions vie for power and fight against each other. And then whatever one manages to kill off the other ones wins. So, you think you're going to be one of the winning people? No, because you people don't seem very competent or smart. Now, I said that perhaps the only difference between these left-wing gun-toting freaks and the right-wing gun-toting freaks is their position on race. Not to say that these left-wing people are not racist, because they do seem to, number one, have anti-white views while being white. And
yeah, which that doesn't make any sense. Are you colorblind?
Right. And they allied themselves, they have aligned themselves and allied themselves with La Raza, and the Brown Berets, which is, let's face it,
racist and doesn't like your fucking pasty ass. They will use your pasty ass because, okay, living in a border town for, 13 plus fucking years, trust me, a racist Mexican will use a goddamn white person for everything they can fucking get.
Yeah, I mean, a racist person in
They'll
general.
pretend to be your goddamn best friend. And the second they get a chance, they will turn on you. That's the beauty of racism.
Right.
Not everybody's gonna come right out and be like, fuck you! No, a lot of them are gonna use your ass because they think it's funny.
Right, which makes them a little smarter than, say, white racist people, like, the KKK. They would never even talk to a brown-skinned person unless they're yelling at them or something like that. But they wouldn't get close to them and let them into their organization or anything like that. Now, the second difference, perhaps, I would imagine, that separates the far-right gun nuts from the far-left gun nuts is that the far-right gun nuts are generally what we would call nationalists, meaning that they, that the USA is superior in every way to other nations, and that etc., etc., etc. Not to be confused with patriotism. These are two different things. Patriotism is one thing, nationalism is another thing. Now, these far-left gun nuts, they are probably calling themselves, or they're probably saying that they're anti-nationalist. However, if you really listen to these people and their views, they actually are nationalists, but the nation that they want is one global nation. And sorry to say this, folks, if you want one global nation, that still is nationalism. Alright?
They're morons. They don't know what they're doing. Okay, as in wannabe pinup model here, alright? Oh, and to be a feminist to boot. That's just... I'm amazed by feminazis all over the world. Fuck the patriarchy! They're just sexualizing us! Really? So the false lashes, contour makeup, and lipstick aren't sexualizing. Okay. Yeah, whatever, wannabe pinup model. Communism, please!
Right.
You do know you will work under communism, right?
Yeah, a lot of these people, I don't think they realize that people work in communism too. It doesn't just magically get money out of the air. Goods and services have to be provided.
Because let's face it, most of these idiots that want this communistic end to democracy are overweight, underdeveloped mentally, and are useless excuses when it comes to hard labor. So you all will probably die within the first few months.
Right.
Because you won't be able to take it.
If you were successful You wouldn't want communism. And by successful, I don't mean necessarily financially. I mean, if you had a happy life, if you succeeded in doing that which you love, and having a happy life, whether you're dirt poor or not, if you were successful, if you were a developed human being, only losers want the rest of the world to lose along with them.
There are people in society who were raised to basically be completely self-sustaining. I being one of them. I was raised on a farm. I was raised to hunt. I was raised to know how to grow my crops, be able to efficiently fertilize the crops without even having to go to the store and fucking do it. I was also raised to know how to salvage seeds from fields. Alright? So, when it comes to who's going to live after this big communistic uprising, it's not going to be you. It's going to be people like me who hate you.
Right, it's going to be the salt of the earth.
Yeah. And, by the way, once y'all are done knocking yourselves out, reinstate democracy, because it's much better than fucking communism, you ass bags.
Thanks for watching, folks. Y'all be good now. This has been Womansplaining with Tabatha.